The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're building or buying or selling a home, the Real Estate Crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holsthausen,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome and thanks for joining us here on the Real Estate House Party.
Woo!
We got Kathy Holsthausen, the paralegal extraordinaire.
Yeah, I'm not Tony V.
We got John Ternullo. We got a good show. We told Tony V, why don't we give it a break from you a little bit here?
No, he had something.
No, he had
something way better to do than this silly little podcast.
So they got me instead.
We got you instead.
We're going to have you anyway.
We're doing our Tony V stories, how he forgets his own jokes sometimes, right?
I know.
You know
his
his jokes. You could do Christine Hurley better than Christine.
Oh my God! Don't make me do Christine.
Christine Hurley doesn't even have to go to any more shows anymore.
Nope.
Yeah.
I have hers done.
Parker. We're not going to tell any of the punchlines here because we'll be shut right off.
This is the best one. I hope she doesn't mind. Hi, Christine. She's like, I'm at this soccer tournament, and it's really early in the morning, and all these yummy mummies from, I think she said Linfield, but I like Linfield, but she said, we're sitting around talking about how early they got up to go to Zumba. And she goes, I want to tell you, bitches, I got up early this morning. I woke up early this morning on the front lawn.
From the sprinkler. She told that story once, and her husband, Jimmy Hurley, was in the audience here. And I said, Jimmy, does that, I'm talking to him, did that really happen? He's there twice.
She talks about the time when they were teenagers in her, and her
father,
her father, future father-in-law's car, and they went down the beach, and and the father-in-law gets in the car the next day and says, Jimmy, how did the sand get up on the ceiling of my car? Sorry, Christine.
Anyone else you want to shout out to? You got to talk to Stu Holzhauser too, don't you?
Oh, Stu, I want a new bathroom.
Evidently, this is how Kathy communicates with her husband.
I have all the pictures.
She doesn't talk to him at all, but he does listen to the podcast.
No, because he doesn't listen to a word I say. I could say, like, I need a new pair of sneakers, and he'd be like, oh, you got some new sneakers. Good. And then that's the end of the story. So, Stu, if you're listening, I need a new bathroom. I have all the pictures ready, and can you call someone? Get it done.
There you go. I wish we had someone on the show who could punch a hand through some cement.
Oh my God,
that is
Gary.
Impressive.
He's not going to be a barista very long with broken hands.
No, that's pretty impressive. So I don't know if you can see. Can you see Gary in the audience there?
He has his his hand wrapped something over there.
All right, we got to talk about words today. John Ternullo, all right, tell us first about the market and all that. And we got a lot of psychology. I like when you're on because she's a resident psychologist, right? Am I right?
I never took one psychology course.
I know, which is scary.
Yeah,
which is scary.
I would probably be dangerous if I had.
You're dangerous anyway, but if you had knowledge, it would really set us all back.
I have a little bit of knowledge.
So John's our resident psychology real estate person. We're talking about loss aversion. You told us not to talk about that. Or cognitive dissonance. You want to go through those at all? Probably not, huh? Or mirroring. I love mirroring, where you kind of reflect what the other person's doing across the table from you, and then all of a sudden they assimilate.
It's like this. If you go like this.
Yeah. Then,
the next person, so you're going to do it, John, right? Because you think I'm sending you a sign that you have like dirt on your nose. Have you ever seen people do that?
I've seen it. I saw it in a sitcom.
I go like this, and then the next person's like...
I think there's a Friends episode where the guy's licking his lips, and she thought he was coming on to her, but he only had a little ink on her side of her face, and so you mirror once in a while to the other...
Every so often, yes, we use mirroring too.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when you're hanging around with other comedians and they're throwing out all their jokes, and there's Ricotta.
Oh, yeah, I'm jumping there. One time I went to the Capitol Grill. I don't know why.
You are not a comedian.
They adopt me for some reason. So 20 comedians and me. So let me ask you how how much time you think I got into that conversation there, but yeah, there's 21.
Oh,
21
I'm sure you were able
yeah,
to get
I got my money's worth. I said, yeah, but we had all those in there. But yeah, so sometimes you mirror. So now that Tony V's on our show, now he's a real estate expert, huh?
Yeah.
He's mirroring us. I
Yeah.
know.
He reviews purchase and sale
We
agreements.
have clients asking for Tony V
Yeah.
to check over stuff.
Didn't he do
he did
your
my
friend
clocks.
Chuck's PNS?
Yeah.
Look out, Chuck. You better read that
So
thing.
mirroring once in a while, huh?
Every once in a while, yep.
So you reflect on what the other person's doing.
People like people that like them.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it really boils down to.
You're lucky because they said 67% of buyers are married, and you're a team. You and your wife are a team, right?
Here we are.
Yeah. So that.
Oh yeah,
that-
Michelle has the fun job.
Yeah.
When I grow up, I want to be Michelle Ternullo. Tell her that.
She has the easy job.
She does the social
no,
media.
she takes care of the kids though.
Oh, yeah. I thought we were talking work stuff.
No,
Yeah.
but that's all mixed in.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can
all
just
mixed
say
in.
I'm going to work, and she has to drive them to soccer or wherever, and then get her work done, and then
True.
have a little bit of time for the
I'll
beach
give her that.
and
A
all
little
that
bit of
other
time for
stuff.
the beach.
Yeah.
Did you see how terminology is changing? We're going to change some terminology today in the real estate world. Can I say a very, very 50-year anniversary? July 20th was what, Ed Sullivan?
Landing on the moon.
Landing on the moon.
She got it.
Wow.
Beep beep beep. I get the money.
And what did they say? What was his famous quote?
Yeah.
One small step for man,
And a huge
one giant step for mankind. And what-
You used step twice?
He just made
He's
things up.
referring to the
was-
one step.
He was jumping on the moon. He had a lot of things going on.
Like I would have gone giant leap for mankind. I mean, it's a big concept.
You're right.
Right.
Now, with that concept, do you think they're changing? Should they have said mankind? You know how they're trying to get
Yeah, they
gender
should
neutral?
have.
It was the 60s.
Yeah, I know,
You know,
I
you
know.
can't go back.
Yeah, you
I know.
can't. It's
Apply
like they're
today
knocking
to-
down statues that are
Right.
part of our history, and then after they obliterate all the statues, no one's going to understand history
Right,
and how
right.
we got to where we are today,
Yep.
because that's how we got there, right?
You don't
Yeah.
hear selectman anymore. It's select person or select member. You don't hear chairman of the board anymore. Berkeley, California is changing manhole.
Oh,
person
come
hole?
on.
What's that?
Is it a person hole now?
It's
Do
a
you know-
maintenance hole.
Do you know any women that go down and go into a manhole?
All I heard was the first part of that sentence, but go ahead.
I don't know many women that pick that as a career
Right. Well,
move.
Berkeley, California is known for being a little bit liberal, so
So, like Sinatra now is chairperson of the
That's
board.
right. That's
You got to go back and change
that's right.
everything.
That's right. So we're going to talk a little term. I was in. We'll talk about that in a second. All right, let me throw this out to you guys. I'm going to throw
But
out.
people get offended by the stupidest things, right?
know.
They get offended by chairperson
It
or
wasn't you who
champion.
had that crusade
But
to change manhole, the maintenance
somebody
hole.
could call you a bleeping whatever, and nobody's offended by that. Like, you know what
Speaking
I
of
mean?
Lenny Clark, huh?
I don't know. It's a weird thing to be.
Lenny leaves us all the best voicemail messages. I don't even take his calls.
So I was driving out of my house the other day, and I saw a big sign, and it said "Men at Work,"
Oh boy.
and that's
gotta
exactly
change.
what I was thinking. I was
Yeah.
thinking, like, I wonder if that sign's going to change pretty
It's
soon.
got to change.
How many women do you see out there doing that
There's
stuff?
some, but there's a
though?
push. How about man-made products?
Oh, it's going to be people-made products.
That's right.
Or human-made products.
Right. All right. Let's talk some terminology in real estate.
Okay.
You do. Who does the descriptions of listing of houses? Do you do that, or does
Usually
Michelle?
I do that.
You do that. Back to Kathy's point that
Michelle does
your
all the
point.
work.
Michelle does all the work.
right, let
Well,
me-
she does all the fun work.
She gets all the credit.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me throw out some terms to see what works.
No, you
and
guys
doesn't
are a
work.
good team. You
So-
complement each other well.
Granite. I'm just going to throw out like 9 or 10 words, and we're
All
going to
right.
see if they work or not. Granite, fantastic, state of the art, spacious, Korean, charming.
Oh, charming means small,
Yes.
right? I think it means tiny.
I have a charming boyfriend, huh? Marble, great neighborhood, gourmet, and wonderful. Which ones of those would work and not work, you think?
Wonderful, no.
Wonderful, no. Why do you say that?
Because that's just not a word I would use. Like, I wouldn't walk into
It's just empty.
John's house and say,
Right.
"What a wonderful home you have."
It's almost
I would
like
say,
when you
"What
can't
a
think of
gorgeous."
anything else.
You just have to put in a word.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
if someone said gorgeous as opposed to wonderful, I would say yes. Gorgeous.
That would work a little better?
Yeah,
All right.
gorgeous would, right?
All right.
Yeah, I
If
think
you write
gorgeous
it-
is because gorgeous is it's a little bit more, I think, specific.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
fantastic is another one.
Bad.
Fantastic.
It's a very bad word.
Fantastic. This is a fantastic house. What it means, what you mean
What
by
it
that
means is I
like
can't think of
maybe
anything else to talk
Well,
about,
fantastic
so I'm going
would
to call
be
it
like
fantastic.
maybe you have a pool in the back, or it has a.
Well, I love that one too. Enough room in the back for a pool. Well,
But
you-
fantastic
you
means
can't-
like the layout might be good. Like, this is fantastic for the kids, or fantastic it's not a bad word.
no, I don't think it works well though. Why? If it's for, like, as to your point, it's got to have a reason
It might
it's
be
fantastic.
fantastic and not
Because
gorgeous.
it has Korean.
Gorgeous is something that you wouldn't say gorgeous unless it really was.
Right.
You could, all listing agents will, say good things about their listing.
Right.
And
But there
you
are
could
some
call
houses-
any listing fantastic.
Right.
This is a
There are some
this is a
houses-
fantastic opportunity.
Yeah.
Which means
yes.
it's a dog.
I know what that means. But there are some houses that you have nothing good to say about.
That
like,
is
right?
that- and that's
Right,
and
right.
that's where
30 or
Right,
40-year-old appliances, carpeting, decor, like just I'd say a split level that's never been updated.
yeah, and that's
Right?
when you use these empty
In
Right.
an
adjectives.
up and coming neighborhood.
Oh, that's horrible.
Right.
That means it's
Yeah.
not a great neighborhood now, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So you're right. So if you're a little bit more specific,
I think state of the art works. That means you've updated it.
state of the art.
State of the
works.
art works, I think so too, yeah.
But modern doesn't work because modern, they say, if you
It
look
could be a 30-year-old modern.
right, could
like
be
a
from the
mid-
1950s
mid-mod.
or 1960s.
Yeah.
The thing is with modern, sometimes you have to be careful too. Is not everyone likes modern.
Right.
So
Right.
you have to watch out on
Right.
how you're using the word modern, right? Because
Right.
not everyone is into
Right.
modern.
I was in buying pants the other day.
You are.
And they have a slim section. What are you laughing about? What are you laughing about?
Oh no.
What's she laughing about right off the bat?
I guess you can't envision you going out to the store buying pants.
In the slim
Hey! I was wondering when that was going to show up. All right, so I had that same assumption. I probably shouldn't be shopping in the slim area. So you know what the alternative is? You would think it'd be heavy area or something like
the husky area.
Nope, modern. So it's the modern fit. I go, is that what you're calling me?
Right. Yeah, that's a little bit much.
Yeah, it's a little bit much there. So it's the same way with houses. Modern house could be from the 1950s or 1960s, right?
Yeah. I would say gourmet would catch my eye. Gourmet
Yes.
kitchen,
I think
right?
that
'Cause-
would catch it.
Gourmet is a good word, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you got the double stoves, right? Viking stove maybe, and like really nice appliances.
And if you have nice appliances and you use the specific brand names, then you're really getting specific, and that helps in the description as well,
Okay.
too.
All right,
Okay.
so that works. So any countertop, if it's marble or you'd want to be specific about that.
Marble,
right?
granite, or if it's like these days, quartz is big.
Yeah.
So by saying that,
All right, what do you like
Quartz
as a homeowner?
counters.
What do you like between?
These-
If you were doing your kitchen over,
if you
which we
are.
happen to be doing our kitchen over.
what would you pick?
What would Michelle pick?
What would she like?
So we, not to give ourselves a little, but we just did an actual small little video with RSK Granite.
Oh.
based
So
out
where
of
would they
Wilmington.
find that?
They can find that on our website at TernulloRealEstate.com.
RSK.
RSK Granite in Wilmington.
All right.
We just did a small little video.
Give us the trailer to the video. So what'd you say in the video
So
about?
we had talked about granite. We also had talked about granite, quartz,
Yep.
the options between them, which one may be better, which one,
Well,
the
tell
pros and
us what-
cons of
tell-
each. So a lot of people these days what we see in real estate is people are leaning towards quartz because it's a man-made product, which it's solid
Yep.
and
Person-made product.
It's a person-made product.
Yeah, human-made product.
Yeah.
And so it's not porous, so people like that because it's a little bit more sanitary. However, what I've learned from RSK is these days with all the sealers that they have,
Right. I was going to say.
it's really just a matter of picking which option you like better.
Mhm.
and then they can essentially seal off the granite to make it essentially almost,
Right.
non-porous.
I wonder if this is probably a question for RSK. We're not going to be able to answer it today, but there's either a fact or a myth that radon can get captured in some countertop.
Well, if it gets captured, then it gets encapsulated with the what you said, the coating that they put on it. So
That's true. But I would imagine now, I'm not a radon
I know.
expert, but I would imagine because we test for radon all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if it was actually giving off radon at a level that would be,
What's an acceptable radon level?
under 4.0.
can I ask a question about radon, guys?
Sure.
So aren't you supposed to shut the windows?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Shut all the windows.
Yes.
And put the
I know where you're headed with this.
Put the radon kit.
Do you think
in
there's some sellers that might not shut the windows, possibly?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. How do I know that the windows were shut?
I know. It's a good point. Yeah, because they're always in
Good
and out
point.
of the house.
And the funny thing is what they say is they don't say opening the windows will automatically make it lower. They said it could adversely affect the reading, good or bad. But I personally think, yes, if you open up the windows.
It's got to open. If the
Right.
window's open, it's
And
got to.
listen, if radon's been around for way longer than us, and we're doing okay, and we probably had radon in the houses that we grew up in, right? It seems to be a problem now. It's a big thing,
well, it's
right?
like, yeah, exactly.
It's always been
mold-
there.
It's always been there, right?
What's the worst radon result you saw? I saw a 73 once.
Ooh.
Have you
No,
seen anyone
I've always-
die of radon poisoning?
I've never even heard anyone getting sick off of radon
I
poisoning.
know, so I don't really understand.
I really don't understand it either, but the EPA says levels over 4 should be corrected.
Right.
Right.
And then the mold and the mildew in the attics now. You're
we run
starting
into
to see that.
Well,
You run into a lot of mold situations.
and there was a
right?
year that we ran into a ton of that. That year,
the Arania.
when we had a terrible snow year, and then everyone had ice dams.
Yeah.
The following
Of
year,
course.
the
Yeah.
following year, we had almost every house had
Yeah.
attic mold.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
attic mold again it's very.
It's a quick fix, right?
It's
Isn't
a quick
it?
fix. It's
Yeah.
very
you
common.
bleach it
Yeah.
or
Yes.
They
remove it.
Yes, we
somehow?
have experts that will come in and spray it, and it's
Right.
a pretty easy.
But
fix.
we're watching a lot of buyers get hung up on some of these issues when they might be wanting to look at the life, the life expectancy of the roof or the furnace, but I feel like sometimes our buyers get wrapped up in little things that.
Or some of our buyers get wrapped up in that after the closing.
Right.
Yeah, we're seeing that a lot where they'll come in and waive the home inspection, and all of a sudden after the closing, I had this the other day where they waived the home inspection, and then afterwards they smelt a gas leak, and there was a gas leak in the property. I mean, wouldn't you suggest if someone's waiving the home inspection, maybe still do the home inspection for informational
purposes?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I mean, usually when we have buyers that waive a home inspection, a lot of times we'll suggest, at the very least, if you know a contractor, if you know someone that's very familiar with, the anatomy of a house,
Right.
let's do a showing with them, and they can point out, any potential red flags.
Right.
So at least this way they feel comfortable waiving the inspection. But at the see
We had the girl the other day who took Uncle Eddie
Yeah.
to the home inspection, and I said, Uncle Eddie doesn't.
Fortunately or unfortunately, the sellers of the property lived next door.
Right,
So
right.
it wasn't going to be a very good block party with the problems that they found in the house afterwards. But the last time you were on the show, John, as you were talking, I was remembering the last time you were on the show, there were multiple offers. People were waiving their home inspections. They were waiving their financing contingency clauses. They were waiving everything, basically, just to get the house. Do you still see that frenzy, or?
It's still there some of the time.
But it seems to be leveling off a little bit.
Yes, and I think
Depends on the property.
depends on the property. It depends on the price point, and it depends on location. Because as much as there are multiple offers that are still happening, there are many other houses that are sitting. And it's funny. I feel like it takes a while for the news to get out there because a lot of sellers just, everyone talks about the multiple offers and they just assume it's a great market, which it's still a seller's market and it is a good market.
Mm-hmm.
However, the assumption that houses are just going to sell within a weekend with multiple offers, it's
Is
just not-
unreasonable,
it's
right?
Unreasonable.
So the ones that get the multiple offers now are obviously priced right, but they're move-in condition.
They're priced right. And
Tell me the price point on that. Do you know?
Well, it depends on it depends on the town. It depends on, what type of property it is.
Right.
You know, right now, if you're in the north of Boston market, where we do a lot of Middlesex and Essex counties, those homes that are in the 5 to 750 range typically will do well, as long as they are prepped right, as long as
Staged.
they're staged
By Michelle.
by Michelle, professional, marketing, all that stuff matters. Good strategy, what words that you use in the description, all those things.
Fantastic home.
All those things matter. Where a few years ago you could get away with, not pricing it right, really getting super aggressive and getting away with it, or not having great marketing and getting away with it. But these days, buyers are becoming a lot more selective.
Yeah.
They're a lot more
And
cautious.
they know what they're looking for.
They're a lot more picky.
Yeah. And they know what what $700,000 is going to buy them in that community.
Yeah.
So
and they are still willing to pay full price, and they are still willing to pay over the asking price, but only for what they envision as the right property.
Right.
We're not seeing a lot of people that are just buying a house just to get a house. Right. Where a few years ago, it just seemed like people would a lot of buyers would beat up, and they felt like they were just happy
to get a house. Right. But now you're talking about a lot of money. $750,000 for a house is crazy.
Sure, it is a lot of money.
To settle, you're basically making a commitment to that house.
So we used to see the buyers either they're so frustrated, or some just got out of the market for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they might be coming back on now that it's more reasonable.
Well, see, that's the thing that's kind of tricky in today's market is the prices are still going up.
Right.
Yeah. So the tricky thing is we've noticed that prices are still going up. We've actually noticed in suburbs north of Boston, inventory levels are still down a little bit. No, they're not, However, days on market is starting to increase.
Okay. So you're see a little tiny slowdown as far as...
So, as far as like those average days on market, they're starting to creep up, which just means that, there are still homes that are selling quickly, but there's a lot of other homes.
Now, is it seasonal too?
It is seasonal. Yeah.
But the people that are buying now, the people that are in the market now, if they have small children and they're looking to get into Reading or North Andover, or they want to be in their house by Labor Day weekend so that their kids can start in the school system. So that's what we're going to see.
That's I mean, if you're in that single family home where, that happens a lot. Yeah. I mean, depending now, if you're looking at a condo or something, that might be a little bit different.
For the condos, I've seen an uptick in the condos. The closings that we've been doing.
Yeah, it seems like we're doing
and it's any price point. Like it's
a lot more
from $200,000 all the way up to whatever Reading Woods or.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, like $750,000 for a house. I mean, you're going to get, condos are becoming a lot more affordable.
Yeah.
And because they're just getting priced out of single family houses.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are going towards condos.
You know what I'm seeing in the condos, though? I mean, it definitely makes your life easier. You don't have to worry about, shoveling, maintenance, landscaping, and all that stuff. But the condo fees are, like, crazy.
Yeah, we just closed one in Salem, $700 condo fees.
So they're almost higher a month than their monthly taxes, sometimes double what their monthly taxes would be. It's crazy what these condo associations, I mean, I know it costs a lot of money to maintain, but you got to really look at that when you're looking at a condo.
And people should really find out what those condo fees go to, too. A lot of times they don't know.
Yeah.
And
they might shovel the driveways, but not the walk areas.
Right. Yep.
Or, you're responsible for your own planting out in front, or like,
I read this one there, and we've talked about it before, where, the person bought the house and saw the pool out front and was about to go, and they said, oh, no, that pool doesn't go to this condo. That's the next door's condo.
Wow.
So, yeah. I mean, it's not a lot, but you do hear it.
That's actually funny. So we have a listing that one of the neighbors has a pool, and I got a text asking about the pool.
Yeah.
And I was worried. I said, I hope she doesn't, or the buyers don't assume that this pool that belongs to the neighbors doesn't belong. So luckily when I texted back, I said, ? What are you talking about? We don't have a pool. She replied, and that she made a mistake and reached out to the wrong agent.
Oh.
It was for a different property. But, I mean, those kind of things, I guess, could happen.
That's better than you thinking the house was being listed with a pool that didn't own it, right?
We have a client? We had a client that assumed that the swing set was on her property.
And they didn't own that property.
They didn't own that, and it was in MLS, right? The
Right,
picture
right.
of the house with the swing set, like so.
Yeah, those are the type of things that you really need to be, careful of as listing agents because you need to be careful that that buyers aren't assuming that.
Well,
certain things-
but the seller said, "Oh, we know that's not our land, but the neighbor
after.
said we could use it."
Yeah, after it was already listed, sold, and
Our
plot plan.
surveyor
Yeah.
just caught us and said, "Oh, just FYI, it looks like the swing set should be
on the neighbor's
on-
property.
on our property, but it does not belong to this property."
Who
Right.
owned the swing set?
The next door neighbor.
Oh, the next door neighbor owned the
Which
swing
made
set.
it worse. The next door neighbor was technically the town, so it wasn't. It was a difficult one there.
Yeah, it didn't go through.
No,
The buyer
no.
ended up backing out. She wanted that swing set. She wanted,
She wanted that lot.
that land.
That was 25% of the property.
Yeah.
Because she felt like there
She
was a
was-
loss there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about loss aversion.
And
or loss, whatever. it is.
so the funny thing is I bet you if they put the offer in knowing that it didn't belong to them, it would have been okay.
Right.
But
Yeah.
once
No, it's a good point. 'cause
once they
you
have
visualize
it, once they have it in their head that it belongs to them, and
Right,
then someone
right.
takes it away from them.
Well,
Right.
the problem
Right.
is that every time she looked out her kitchen window and she saw that swing set that her kids supposedly couldn't use, or I'm sure they could have, but she would have thought of this bad closing. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, it's true. It's stupid, but it's
Oh,
true.
every time I see a swing set, I think the same
I know.
thing. That was a rough one. All right, here's a word: unique.
That means that
so
could be
unique
good or bad.
is bad.
Bad.
Yeah.
Very, very bad. 'Cause
Think about it.
Very,
Think about
very,
it.
very bad.
that is
A friend of yours calls you up and says, "I gotta, you're gonna do a blind date." You say, "What's the guy
He's
like?"
unique.
He's unique.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you-
sometimes, like, if someone has a unique
No.
piece of jewelry or, like,
That's different. You don't want to buy a unique house.
what's the definition of unique? Odd?
No, not necessarily.
One of a kind.
Very particular in its attributes.
Okay, one of a kind, right?
Yeah, so you don't want to buy a house that's unique because you're going to have to sell that house
Unless
down
you're
the
a
road.
unique person, right? So there's probably a very small.
No, think about that though, because you don't want your pool of buyers down the road. Because you're gonna rule out a lot of buyers if you have this
Okay.
little bit unique house.
Well,
right?
that's just if you're buying a unique house, that means that house is not like every other house.
Right.
Right.
Which means
Right.
if it's not like every other house, it doesn't fit to what most people want, which means
Right.
it's
Right.
actually a negative.
right.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
because it doesn't fit to what people want, whether it's the layout, whatever it is, then it's typically not. So
No,
we
it's
try
not.
and
It's
stay
not
away from.
favorable.
We try and stay away from unique.
Okay. What other word we got?
Potential's not a great term.
No.
that just means it's
Don't say the next
it's horrible
one.
right now.
Don't say the next one.
What? It's moist.
No. Every show, you gotta get it in there.
TLC.
Yeah.
Forget that one.
Yeah, no.
Stainless helps a little bit, right? Because it's more specific.
TLC, if you
No.
got
might
it
as well-
for the right price and you had money to
Yeah, but
put
as a
into it.
marketing, TLC, you just might
Yeah,
as well
but-
say it's a
Let me
it's a
just,
pig with
Well,
lipstick.
hold on. I will say this.
putting
it
lipstick on
is
a pig.
sometimes better to set that expectation up front.
Yeah, because if you have the
Yeah.
50-year-old,
All right.
like I said, the 50-year-old house that I don't know what you're going to be able to do with this house. You're going to take the listing and you're going to help them stage it the best you can, but at some point you can't hide.
Well, that's just it. And so what happens is what we find, and these days with all the professional photography and all that stuff, I feel like a lot of agents oversell properties, and that
Right.
happens a ton.
Right.
And so what we
Yeah,
constantly
some buyer
hear,
pulls in and says, "This doesn't look like the photograph."
that's exactly it. And so in the psychology of that, when they show up, the house doesn't change, but because they envision something, when they walk in, now
It's
they're
a letdown.
disappointed. It's a
Right.
huge letdown.
Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes we actually, frankly, actually make it sound like one notch less than
Okay.
really what it is. And
Yeah.
so when they show up, they're like, wow, this
Oh,
is actually,
I could live with this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, because the whole thing is, yes, you want to drive the buyer there, but then the important thing is once they're there, they need to be pleasantly surprised. If not, they need to have realistic expectations.
Yes.
It's like when someone, like we see this all the time, when they list a house with 6 bedrooms, people envision this giant second level with 6 bedrooms.
Right.
Right.
But then when they get there and they're like, oh, one
They're like,
bedroom's
"They're
upstairs,
closets."
the other
Right,
one's in
right.
the shed, and another one's in the garage. It's like, yeah, that's not what they envisioned. So
Do you ever think of doing that with pricing? I know no one would ever do this, but when you're selling you can discard this very quickly, but you're selling a $700,000 house. Most brokers put that at $699,900 because psychologically it looks cheaper. But it almost looks like, and I know no one will ever do this. Why don't you keep it at $700,000, and then if they get it for $699,000, they think they're hitting a home run.
Well, actually, we have done that before.
Oh, you have?
And so what happens is when we take a look at the market, we'll actually look at specific price bands.
Yeah.
So sometimes, depending on, and we actually had a client that...
Because you're targeting a certain group.
Yeah, so we actually had a client that was falling in the range just under 300,000. But when we look at that market was saturated with listings, and it was just moving very slow. Yeah. But yet the 3 to 350 market was a hot market to be in.
Oh, that's interesting.
So instead of listing at 286, we actually listed at 300. Yeah. Ended up with multiple offers and got way more than we should have. But what happens is because everyone looks online these days, sometimes it
goes under a different category.
Listing at 300 will catch buyers that are listing from 300 to say 400, whereas a 299 listing price may discount all those people looking from 300 to 400. Yeah. So it kind of depends on what that buyer.
So like if you're looking for a house and you look and you click on and you click on the 500,000, you're going to catch everything 500 and higher.
Right.
But if you listed for 499.9, guess what? Your house isn't coming up. No matter what.
And depending on where you are, like so for example, if you're listing at say $1 million. Yeah. Right. Chances are you're not going to get more buyers looking. If you listed at $1 million as opposed to $999, because that's a huge price break. And a lot of people will look up to $1 million, but there's a smaller buyer pool looking from 1 to 1.5.
Right. And sometimes, I've seen that. I don't know if it was a psychology test or whatever.
I'm sure it was.
It probably was. They couldn't sell this jewelry. I'm just going to make up numbers now, and they said, all right, it was being sold for $200. Let's just say the owner of the company said just discount it by 10%. And so thinking it would drop it down to 175 or whatever, the person thought it was increase it by 10%, whatever. They got more people not bidding, but trying to buy it at $250 because they thought it was worth more because of the higher price tag.
So can I make fun of Michelle now?
Yeah,
she's not on the show.
And if she's listening, I did not agree to this, Michelle.
So
you just agreed.
We're going to California next month for a conference, and we're going to take a weekend and just spend a weekend to relax. And we're looking at hotel rooms yesterday, and she actually sent me 4.
I think I know where you're headed with this.
She sent me 4 hotel rooms that she liked, and I picked one of them out. And she goes, "Well, that's the cheapest. Of course you like that one." And I said, "Well, you picked it out." And she said to me, she's like, "I'm just afraid it's not a nice hotel." And I said, "Well, why are you afraid?" She's like, "Because it's cheaper than the other ones."
Yeah,
I said, "If they charged us more money, would you feel like it's a better hotel?"
Probably.
And while she wouldn't, say yes.
No, you have a good point.
But she feels like, if they charge more money, it's probably a better hotel.
Yeah. That's the way our brains work. Like, I was in, Home Goods, and I needed a new set of sheets. And I think like in Brooklinen and a couple of the other places, like the sheets run $100+, right? For a set of nice sheets. Yeah. But I saw sheets for like $59 and I should be jumping for joy, but then I'm like, these must be yucky.
Cheap. Yeah.
These must be crap and I'm not going to take the chance on that. I would rather spend the $100 and know I'm getting good quality as opposed to spending the $59 and taking the chance that I would have to get new sheets.
Did you check the thread count?
Yeah, but some of the thread counts like said 1,200. Yeah. I don't buy that.
Who's counting them?
I know.
I would think the quality of the thread must still matter.
I know. I just don't. But they have this new thing called sateen, which I think is just a cheaper, like whatever. So
sounds like you slide right off, though.
I know.
Sateen.
Sateen. I don't like the feeling of sateen.
Where'd Kathy go? She slid right off.
But I know where Michelle is coming from on that.
Well, there is truth to be told that you get what you pay for, but at the same time, circling back to houses, a lot of times people think that pricing a house is very, it's not scientific at all. We're constantly telling buyers and sellers that price per square foot really it's a little bit of a thing to look at, but
not really.
But not really because it doesn't take.
When you go in and visualize a house, I like that house. I don't know the square footage of each room.
I tell you what, the house is only the value of the house is only what someone's willing to pay for.
That's just exactly it, and that's where the staging comes in. That's where we stage houses, we paint them to certain colors. I mean, all that stuff has a huge impact on what the value is of a house.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's very subjective on what a house is worth.
Without a doubt. If you have a house that nobody wants to buy, right now it's worthless. Unless it's yours and you want to just keep refinancing and taking cash out. But, right?
Yeah. I think we learned a lot today.
Are you rolling your eyes at me?
No, I'm not. I think we learned a lot.
It seems like...
I feel like we learned.
I think we learned a lot.
Was that the show?
Yeah, we're over the show. We're way over.
It goes fast when it's so fun.
It's a lot of fun here on the Real Estate House Party with Kathy Holzhauser, paralegal extraordinaire. Okay,
do you know 40% of people do not have a mortgage on their house?
Really?
40% of America.
And we have 25% here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that a high number, don't you think?
That is a high number.
Maybe we could discuss that.
Yeah.
As opposed
I just
to
figured I'd throw it out
during
there.
our music at the end of the show.
I am not part of the 60%, the 40%. I'm a 60%er.
I make it up. I have 2. I'm in the 80%. All right, thanks for joining us on Real Estate House Party. Kathy Holzhauser, paralegal extraordinaire. John Ternullo from the Ternullo Real Estate Team.
Thank you for having me.
Half of it.
Half of it. Oh, wow.
60% of it.
Yeah. What's in a number?
You better cut that last part out in case Michelle's looking. She won't care what sheet you have in there.
You're not going to California.
I'm sliding right off the sheets.
You can have the cheap room. She's getting the expensive one. Thanks for joining us.
You got the satine.
Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.